Right, question 7. In arithmetic series, the fifth term T5 is 22. So what you can say is the fifth term, okay, T5 is always the first term plus 4 differences. If you forgot this in a test, what you could do is you could write down the Tn formula. And if you forgot that T5 has 4 differences, all you have to do is replace n with 5, and what you'd get is a plus 5 times 5 minus 1, which is a plus 4d. So that's how you remember that T5 is a plus 4d. Likewise, T7 would be a plus 6d. Okay? Now that that's done, you know that S4 is 38. So you have to write down the formula for S4. Okay? So just rub this out. And we know that, first of all, T5 is 22. So right here, you've already created your first half of a simultaneous equation. That's the first half. Okay? The second half is going to come from S4. Now, S of n is n over 2 into 2a plus n minus 1 times d. You read that it's S4, so replace all n's with 4. 4 over 2, 2a. Now, it's going to be 4 minus 1 times d, which is going to be 3d. Okay? And then 4 over 2 is the number 2. Multiply it in, and you get 4a plus 6d. 4a plus 6d must be equal to 38. And now from your 2 pieces of information, you've created your simultaneous equation. Okay, so that's the 2 of them there. Okay? Down or up? I'll make it higher than the board, you mean?
No.
Okay?
Please wait till I can take it down.
Yeah, any questions? Now, what we have here is 4a plus 6d equals 38. And then on the other one we have a plus 4d equals 22. Now there's no need to take down this bottom equation again. What we realise is that we have to multiply it by 4 to get rid of the a's, okay? So multiply it by what Gavin would say yesterday is, why would you multiply it by 4 when you can multiply it by minus 4? So minus 4. What's minus 4 multiplied by 4?
Minus 4.
Minus 16d. So you're going to get minus 4 multiplied by 4 is minus 16. And then minus 4 multiplied by 22 is going to be 88. Minus 88. And then it's just doing a simultaneous equation. Then you add them directly downwards. You get no a's. The a's will cancel. 6d minus 16d is minus 10d. Minus 10d is equal to minus 50. You can multiply both sides by minus and you can get 10d equals 50. Therefore d must be the number 5. Okay, alright. Okay, guys, what we're doing now is we go back to the top and we say, alright, we know that this is the first equation we got was a plus 4d. We now know that d is the number 5. So because we know d is 5, what we know is that 4d must be 4 multiplied by 5, which is 20. A plus 20 is 22, therefore a must be 2. A is 2 and d is 5. Okay? A is 2 and d is 5. Okay? Now, show that t of n equals 5 minus 3. Well, what we did earlier was Tn equals a plus n minus 1 times d. Now Jack, this is what you're talking about. It wants me to find out what t of n is. Therefore I can't replace n this time. So all I have to do is put in a equals 2 and n minus 1 multiplied by whatever d is 5. Now multiply it out. And what we should get here is we should get 2 plus 5n minus 5. 2 plus 5n minus 5. Then the answer will be 5n plus 3. Is 5n plus 3 what we're asked to get? it's 5n minus 3. So just, oh, I got it wrong there. 2 minus 5 is minus 3, not plus 3. So always check back up on your answer. Okay, is there any questions about that? What we're asked to get next is figure out what Sn is, or 2 Sn's. Can somebody call me out what's the next part? It's B part, 2 part B.
2 SN.
2 Sn.
5n squared.
5n squared. Minus 10. Okay. Minus n or minus 10? N. Okay guys. Now, what we do here is, we see S of n here. Which means, Jack, we're going to use the S of n formula. So it's going to be n over 2 into 2a plus n minus 1 times d. Okay? Then what you're going to get here is n over 2, we don't know what it is because we still don't know what n is. But we know what 2a is. What's 2 times a?
4.
A is 2 and d is 5. So we know that 2a is 4. We know that d is 5. 5 times, so that's going to be 5n minus 5. 5n minus 5, okay? So what we're going to get next is n over 2 into 5n minus 1. Now, guys, it's divide everything by 2 on the right hand side. If I want to get rid of that 2, what does it become on the left hand side? Multiplication. It's everything divided by 2 on this side. Okay? I could rewrite this as this. I could rewrite it looking like this if I wanted. See? They're the same thing. So we're going to bring the 2. We're basically cross multiplying the 2 up. So we're going to get 2s of n. Then we're going to multiply the n in on top, and you're going to get 5n squared minus n. Exactly what we're asked to prove. Okay? So that is the end of number 7. Okay? In this question, in our arithmetic series, T7 is 20. T7 is a plus 6 differences, and that equals 20. S5 is 40. S5, once again, using the formula n over 2 into 2a plus n minus 1 times d, what we're going to get is 5 over 2 brackets 2a plus 5 minus 1 times d. Now, 5 minus 1 is what? 5 minus 1 is 4, okay? So we just and put in the number 4. Okay? Now that that's done, 5 over 2 is 2.5. 2.5 multiplied by 2 is what?
10.
It's 10 over 2, which is 5. 5a. 2.5 multiplied by 4 is 10d. Okay? And that all has to equal 40. Now, what you can see here is we have 2 equations. There's the first one, and there's the second one. What we need to do with the first one is, we need to multiply it by minus 5 to get rid of those a's. Because we want minus 5a underneath plus 5a. So we're going to multiply that by minus 5. Okay? So what we're going to get is minus 5a. Minus 5 multiplied by 6 minus 30d. Minus 5 multiplied by 20 minus 100. Okay? Close it. And what we're going to get is the 5a's cancel. And we get is minus 20d equals minus 60. That means that if you multiply both sides by minus, that means that 20d will equal 60. Therefore, d has to be equal to 3. Okay? Any questions? Now, lads, in this sector here, the green sector, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what a is, okay? And to figure out what a is, we're going to use one of the original formulas. So I'm going to use a plus 6d equals 20. Now, we know that d is 3. Therefore, 6d must be 18. We can replace this here with 18. So we're going to get a plus 18 equals 20. Therefore, A must be equal to 2. We now know that A equals 2 and D equals 3. And if we look up to the next part of this, we have to show that Tn, we have to get Tn and 2Sn again. Okay, so Tn and 2Sn. So let's see what we can do with this. Okay, so the next part of the question underneath the dotted black line is part 2. We're looking to find out what Tn is and 2Sn. You write down the Tn formula, A plus n minus 1 times D. And then you keep n this time because you aren't looking for T10 or anything like that, lads. So what we get is A equals 2, D equals 3. So it's going to be 3 multiplied by n minus 1. So it's going to be 3n minus 3. And then we're going to get Tn equals 3n minus 1. Was that what we're asked to prove? 3n minus 1?
Yeah.
So you go back to the top, you can see that was 3n minus 1. Next one, 2s of n, which we're going to do to the right hand side here, okay? 2s of n, which we're going to do to the right hand side, okay? So, 2s of n is the following. S of n, the formula for Sn is n over 2 into 2a plus n minus 1 times d. Okay. Okay, guys. Next one. N over 2. We get n over 2 into 2a. 2 times a is 2 times 2, which is 4. Then we get n minus 1 times d. D is 3. Multiply into 3 and you get 3n minus 3. What you then end up with is, once again, now what we have here is n over, this is basically the same thing as, the 2 is getting divided like it did in the last question. So what we're going to do is we're going to cross multiply the 2 up. So we're going to end up with 2s of n, multiply in this part here, the bracket. I'm just going to quickly write it in underneath. It's going to be 3n plus 1. Because 4 minus 3 is plus 1, and that's 3n. Now you multiply it by n, and you're going to get 3n squared plus n. And I'm pretty sure that's what we're asked to prove. 3n squared plus n. Finally, we're going to be asked for T30 and S30. Can anybody in the class tell me the difference between T30 and S30?
Yes. T and I'm asking for what they're doing.
T, yeah.
T30 is A plus 29D.
T30 is A plus 29D. It's just one number, while S30 is the first 30 numbers added together. Okay? So, lads, T30, simply replace 3n minus 1 with 30. So you're going to get 3 times 30 minus 1. T30 is 89. Okay? Tn is 3n minus 1. Therefore, T30 basically means replace n with 30. Okay. Likewise, yeah. Sorry. To get the S of n, we could simply use the S of n formula. Bring the 2 back down where it was. So S of n equals 3n squared plus n all over 2. Now, all we got to do to get S30 is to replace all n's with 30. So 3 times 30 squared plus 30 divided by 2. Okay? You just use the calculator on that one. There's no need to do anything else. Press the fraction button at the start. 3 bracket 30 squared plus 30, and then just divide all that by 2. And what you'll get there is 1365. So S30 is 1365, while T30 is 89. Okay, any questions on that one? Okay guys, this one here, 16 part 1. Okay, 16 part 1. A equals 10, D equals 10. The reason I know that is it starts off at 10 and goes up 10 every time. Use the Tn formula. A plus n minus 1 times d. Okay, which is going to be 10 plus n minus 1 times 10, which is going to be 10n minus 10. Finally, Tn, the 10's cancel. Tn is 10n. Okay? So when n equals 1, the answer is 10. When n equals 2, the answer is 20. And when n equals 3, the answer is 30. It checks out. Next one is S of n. Okay? Formula for S of n, once again, is n over 2, bracket 2a plus n minus 1 times d. Okay? In this question, we know that d is 10, and we know that 2a is 20. So we're going to get n over 2, bracket 20. This is going to be 10n minus 10. And then what we're going to get is n over 2 into 10 plus 10n. What we can do, yes, Jack? Okay. Now, what happens here, guys, is we multiply n by 10 by n, and 10n by n. You get 10n squared. Remember, the 2 is still on the bottom. So divide it by 2, and you're going to get S of n equals 5n plus 5n squared. Okay? S of n equals 5n plus 5n squared. Okay? Now, what we're asked to do next is, using your expression for S of n, find the sum of the natural numbers that are both multiples of 10 and smaller than 2001. Find out how many of them I can add together that's still smaller than 2000. Okay? So what I say is S of n equals 2001. Okay? S of n equals 2001. Now, what do we know about this sequence? This sequence can never end in a 1. Why can it never end in a 1? Because it's 10 plus 20 plus 30 plus 40 plus 50. So in effect, we're trying to find out when S of n gets close to 2000. Okay? So what we can do here is we can say that 5n squared, S of n is 5n plus 5n squared equals 2000. We can bring it over to the other side, so what we can get is 5n squared plus 5n minus 2000. I'm saying is that it won't go to 1 because all the numbers end in 0. So it'll either get to 2000 or it won't. Okay? So we're going to end up with n squared divided by 5 minus n minus 400. Okay? Divided by 5 on both sides. Okay? Now, I might just go with the minus b formula here.
Where did you get the n squared?
N squared plus n, I divided 5n plus 5n squared by 5. I just switched them around, and then in the next line I divided everything by 5. I divided by 5 because everything here was divisible by 5. Okay? So, what we're going to get here is the minus b formula. Minus 5 plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times 1 times minus 400. Okay, all divided by 2 times 1. Remember when you're doing these that it's this part here that gives the most trouble, so you're going to put that directly into the calculator. So what we get is square root of 5 squared minus 4 bracket 1 bracket minus 400. Okay, and we get, just put in decimals, 40.3. Okay, so minus 5 plus or minus 40.3 divided by 2. Okay, so what this will mean is that when we add them together, it can't be a negative answer. N has to be a positive answer. It's the first term, the second term, the third term. There's no such thing as the minus third term. So what we need is minus 5 plus 40.3 divided by 2. So what we get here, it has to be a whole number, so it's going to be minus 5 plus 40.3 divided by 2. So it's going to be the 17th and a 0.6 term. So the answer to this question is n equals 17. When I add up all the way up to T17, that's as close as I can get to 2000, okay? So I'm just going to save the video.